Everybody, Jody Crowley here, and I am here with Ralph Tufo. He is a children's book author, and his series is about a really cool seagull called Seymour. So Ralph, tell us a little bit about the backstory and what's coming up.
I had no intention of writing a children's story, but what happened is I usually walk from Elliott Circle in Beachmont towards Kelly's Roast Beef and back for like a weekly, a daily walk, what have you.
Yep.
And I went to Kelly's and I stopped and I looked to my left and there was this gigantic seagull, like just staring at me.
Huh.
So I look back there and I look back. He's not moving. I look staring at him, look back and staring at him, looking at me. I'm thinking, okay, I'm a bird watcher, but he's a people watcher. What does he see? And what does he see about human nature? What does he think about us as people?
Yeah.
And then that's where I thought, oh, he's Seymour, the seagull. He's seeing more than the average seagull.
Yeah.
He sees a lot of things. So tell us what you think about human beings. And so the story developed, and basically Seymour is like the king of Revere Beach, and he wants everybody to get along. And then in his travels along Revere Beach, he sees a group of children arguing and fighting over their sandcastles, and one knocks down the other one, and so forth. And then he comes along and teaches them that, you know what, if you all work together and created a big sandcastle and all had different parts, you're going to come out with a sandcastle that you're all going to be proud of.
Yeah.
And so they do that, and that's what happens. And then he flies off in the sunset, and that's the end of the first book.
Okay, all right. It's a whole series now,
Yes,
right?
there are 3.
Okay.
First 2 have already been written. The third one will be coming out in April.
Nice. Are you able to give any hints, or is it
sure.
to come?
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about the second book.
Okay.
Second book's called Brotherly Love. So Seymour has a brother named Sydney, and they're involved and they have a seagull contest. And like there's a race from over here in Winthrop, from the water tower to Revere Beach.
Okay.
And Seymour flies and he wins. And then there's a running contest where, along Revere Beach, and Sydney wins that. And everything's fine, so forth, but one day there's a sudden rogue storm and everything gets blown around and so forth. And poor Sydney gets blown up against the wall over at Port-au-Prince and hurts his wing, and he can't fly. So Seymour takes care of him, and Sydney's very sad about, what good is it, a seagull that can't fly, and blah, blah, blah. So what happens is the rest of the seagulls make a sling for him out of seaweed.
Okay.
And then Seymour decides to give him a very important job of guarding the seagull eggs, protect them from predators. And one day, out of the Rumney Marsh, a bunch of weasels come and they're going to attack the nest of the eggs. And Sydney runs down. You have a little ramp off the wall, runs over to them and starts kicking sand in their face and screaming and all this, and alerting the other seagulls. And they come and they chase away the weasels. And Sydney's like a hero.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, so he's established a purpose. So that's Brotherly Love.
And I love the sense of teamwork at the end there.
Book 3 is coming out in April.
Yeah.
It's called True Friends Indeed. Sort of double play, like they're really true friends, but they're also friends by what they do. So it starts off with a lot of fun. The fabulous seagull brothers, Seymour and Sydney, break out their driftwood surfboards, and they're going to put on a show because it's Sandcastle week and there's big crowds. And so they're going to go surfing. And they surf and do all these tricks on their driftboard, but one of the wave comes and knocks them to the side, and their surfboards or driftboards get broken. So what are they going to do now? So they decide to do some air surfing. And so there are kites in the air because it's a big sandcastle. So they fly up in the air and latch onto some kites, and they're surfing in the air, right?
That sounds like fun.
Yeah. Then down below, they see a group of seagulls all in a circle with one seagull in the middle. So they fly down and see what's going on. And what it is that most of the seagulls around here are what's called herring gulls. But in the summer, from the south, laughing gulls come up because I don't know what they migrate up here during the summer. So there's this one laughing gull in the middle. Her name is Bonita. And they're teasing her and taunting her and telling her she doesn't belong, she doesn't look like them, she's taking their food, blah, 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 get out of here. And they're kind of like circling in, ready to attack her. And Seymour and Sydney fly in to the middle of that, and they tell them, stop your bullying. Okay? And then Sydney points out to one of the leaders of the bullying seagulls that, don't you remember you were bullied when you were a baby? You couldn't even cry. And then Sydney says, last year when my wing was broken, I couldn't even fly, and people made fun of me, and they made me cry. And so they talk about bullying and how no one really respects a bully. And if you see someone being bullied, what you should do is not support it, but stop it and tell people, listen, you need to all get along. So the rest of the seagulls feel bad about what they did, and they invited Bonita to join them in a flash dance that they're going to put on as a show for all the tourists for the Sandcastle Festival. But before that happens, they have an hour where they said, well, we need to have lunch. So why don't we all go over to Keller's Roast Beef, we'll raid the trash can and steal food off of people's plates while they're not looking.
Because that's what seagulls do.
That's what they're famous for, right? So when the show begins, Seymour starts it with blowing into a conch shell, okay? And then the music starts. Fiddling crabs are playing the fiddle. Piping plovers are playing the pipes. A lobster is playing the accordion. Cormorants are singing sea shanties and doing the jig. And the crowd loves it. And at the end of the flash dance, Bonita said, I would like to sing a song for my heroes, Seymour and Sydney. So she sings the song, True Friends Indeed. And part of the song is that you're my true friends indeed, not just by what you say, by what you do. And so she sings the song, and everybody is happy at the end, and that's the end of the story.
I love it. I love it. And I love that you brought music into it.
Yes.
Because the other thing we wanted to talk about is your band.
Right. Thank you. Yes.
So tell us about your band. So you play live.
Oh, yes.
And all over, really, the region. And,
yes.
And in New Orleans.
Yes. Yes.
At times.
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit about your band. And we're going to keep people updated on when you're playing North Shore.
Well, the band is called the Squeeze Box Stompers.
Which I think is a fabulous name.
We've been around, the band's been around for like 20 years. some people have come and gone, but it's been on for 20 years.
Yeah.
And we play what's called Americana music, which is a combination of a number of different genres. Cajun, Zydeco, blues, New Orleans classics, and a lot of originals that I've written and some other people in the band have written. So we play primarily throughout New England, so it's all on our website, squeezeboxstompers.com.
I love it. I love it. Well, Ralph, thank you for your time today.
Oh.
This has been wonderful.
Thank you.
So excited about your third book that's coming out.
Oh yes, me too,
And
right.
We'll make sure everybody knows when it hits the stand.